Everyone, thank you for tuning in to Love Mom today. Today we are going to start our series on kitchen essentials. So this is the first video in that series. Over the next few weeks you'll see one video per week on things that you need in your kitchen that are essentials when you're first starting out or when you're learning to cook. Now we're going to go ahead and get started. First thing we're going to talk about is towels. Everyone needs to have a few kitchen towels in their kitchen. Now I'm going to tell you what my preference is. I do not like the terry cloth towels because the threads remove and then they get into your food and onto your dishes and things like that. But you need to make sure that your towels are cotton because they are absorbent, and when they're 100% cotton, they don't transfer onto everything that you're using them on. I prefer not to use oven mitts because they lose their shape and they wear out, and then even when you wash them they don't really get as clean as you would like because of the use over and over and over. I like to use towels to remove stuff from the oven and to move stuff around on top of the stove. So this is one of my favorites here. It's a little thicker than a regular kitchen towel, but it's not too thick and it's not too thin. So I always use these for removing things in and out of the oven. You can also use microfiber. That's a really good towel to have in the kitchen if you can find some good ones. Another thing that I like to use is these cotton towels. These are 100% cotton. These are the towels that I use for wiping my hands, drying my hands in between doing different things because they don't hold stains, and again they're not terry cloth, so they don't take the threads and come out when you're cooking. And these are really cute. I like these because of course they have these little sayings on them, like this one says, do you want to talk to the man of the house, or the man in charge, or the woman that knows what's going on? So I love these little towels, and I find them all over the place with all these little sayings. And I usually always, when I'm cooking, have one over my shoulder, so if I ever need to dry my hands or something like that, they are ready. Now the next thing that we're going to talk about is knives. Everyone needs a good set of knives, but you really don't have to spend as much money as you think on knives. I know everybody tells you to get the good knives, you got to spend a couple $100. No, you just need to make sure that it's good and sturdy and sharp. Now, everyone needs a butcher knife. I prefer the knives that have the covers on them. That way when I'm picking them up out of the drawer, I don't take the risk of cutting my hands. So I'm always taking them off. Now this one is a really good knife. It's wet because I just washed it. So this one is a really good knife. You see how sharp it is? It's nice and sturdy. The blade is sturdy. You need the blade to be about 1/4 inch on this side right here. So that you make sure that the blade's not super thin and it won't break while you're doing things. Whenever you have your butcher knife, you really don't want to hold it like this, because that's how you get your wrist all hurt and tired, and that's how you accidentally cut yourself. You have more control over the knife when you hold it between this finger and your thumb, and you hold it this way, and then you keep the back fingers on the handle. So that's the best way to hold a knife, to have more control. This is a butcher knife. Okay, now the next knife that everybody needs to have, everyone needs to have a serrated knife. I have two sizes, well actually kind of three. This is a serrated knife, which is really good for cutting things like tomatoes, bell peppers, and things like that. Because if you notice, whenever you're cutting tomatoes with a smooth knife, they rip. And you can't really get them to cut and dice like you want to. That's what you need these kind of serrated knives for. I use the smaller one or the medium-sized one because you have a little more control when you're cutting tomatoes and stuff like that. This serrated knife is a large serrated knife. Now the reason I like this knife is because these kind of knives are really good for cutting bread. So if you do buy things like sourdough, ciabatta, all that kind of stuff that you have to cut up yourself, these kind of knives are really good for that. Everyone needs also a small paring knife. So this is a small paring knife. It's the same as these here, but it's just a smaller version. You can use it for peeling potatoes or just cutting small things where you don't have to, do too much or work too hard at it. Now, these knives are not very expensive. I got these knives 3 in a pack for, please forgive my dog, he's having a mental breakdown right now, but he'll be fine. I bought these 3 in a pack, the butcher knife, the serrated knife, and the paring knife, all in the same pack for like $10 or $12 at Walmart, no less. And these are really good knives. I use them all the time. Now, also what you need to have, I know everybody doesn't really know what this is for. This is a knife sharpener, and everybody needs to have one. They're not really expensive. Sometimes you get them in the set when you buy like the set of knives that come in the big blocks, but you can also buy them separately. Cost you a few dollars, but everybody needs to have one. You need to have a knife sharpener because you honestly need to be sharpening your knives about once a month, because they do get dull, especially if you use them a lot like I do. And when you're sharpening your knife, all you're doing is running it back and forth. Make an X and pull them apart. Make an X, pull them apart. And you only need to do that once a month for a couple of minutes on your knives that you use all the time, and then they keep that sharpness that you need to be able to cut. Okay? Now, last but not least, we're going to talk about bowls. Everyone needs good sets of mixing bowls in their kitchen, but this one right here is my favorite. I've had it forever. It's glass. You really need to be using glass bowls instead of plastic bowls. The reason is because when you use plastic bowls, things that you put in the bowls deposit into the plastic and get embedded in there. So then you run the risk of not only cross-contamination with your food, but you also run the risk of that stuff just getting embedded in the taste of whatever you're making. Like, say for instance, if this bowl was plastic and I use this bowl to move around some ground beef when I'm making meatloaf, then I've embedded that raw meat into the plastic. And then the next time I use the bowl, even though I've washed it, because it's plastic, and depending on what kind of plastic it is, that blood and that meat from the beef is embedded into the sides of it. So if I use it, say, okay, I'm gonna make a cake. I'm mixing my cake mix in this plastic bowl, and that stuff is embedded in the plastic. So you run the risk of actually either contaminating your cake, because sometimes no matter how much you wash it, it doesn't come out, or run the risk of that kind of taste getting onto the cake and you're trying to figure out, what is that? Did I put something extra that I didn't mean to put in there? So this is why you really need glass bowls. Glass bowls are so much better for your cooking because they don't hold on to anything. Also, I like the clear ones, but this is just kind of my favorite because I've had it for about 10 years. So I use this one more often. But you can get a set of clear bowls at places like Walmart, Target, IKEA. They usually come 3 in a pack, a large, a medium, and a small. And you can get just the colorful glass bowls, and they don't cost much. Get about 10 bucks. Okay? Now, you also need large bowls like this. Now, if you're not using glass, if you prefer not to use glass, if you're like me, I have the dropsies sometime where I'm always dropping stuff and breaking stuff. Metal bowls are better than plastic. It's the same thing. It doesn't hold on anything. Once you wash it out, it's gone. So a metal bowl or a glass bowl in your kitchen. And the metal bowls are not expensive either, unless you're buying copper. Those can get a little pricey. And last but not least, everybody needs a colander. Doesn't have to be a big metal one like this. It can be a little plastic one or a big plastic one. A colander is just mainly for straining. So I use my colander when I'm straining pasta, when I'm pouring the water off of veggies that I've boiled or steamed or something, like potatoes or something like that, and I'm needing to try to get all the water off before I put it into something else. This is what you use your colander for. It has all the little holes, and believe it or not, you can actually use your colander to steam vegetables, because you can sit it in the bottom of a big pot, put the water on the bottom of the pot, put the top on the colander, and the steam floats up. So it's multi-purpose. You can use it for more than just straining. Okay, so now that finishes our first video on our kitchen essentials. If you have any questions, just leave them down below. We'll be coming out with another video in about a week for the same thing, but it'll be different items. So thank you so much for watching. You guys have a blessed day and happy cooking.